I am here with Bruce Fink, Frank Conti, and Mark Gold, principals of Enterprise Lighting Sales, and they were gracious enough to invite me to the ELS Expo. So gentlemen, thank you very much, and it looks like a tremendous show from what I've seen so far. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the Expo?
Who would like to take that?
Sure.
I can handle it. In 1988, there was an expo or a rep show held by the Boston rep for Edison Price that Emma Price attended, and she was kind enough to let me know about that and encouraged me to get a show going for our own organization. We've always been in this place, using half the hall. We did the catering ourselves. We did this. We helped with the setups. We did it all because we didn't know any better. And each time we've had the show now, since then, it's gotten better and better and better.
The 8th show.
Yeah, we started off with just tabletops and pop-up displays, and as you can see now, it's grown into just an amazing light fair-esque type show. And speaking of light fair, it's always been the odd year when light fair is on the West Coast. Is that correct? That's correct.
Okay. Never to conflict.
So it is every other year. So this is 16 years that we've been doing these things shows.
Okay. Excellent.
Many of the manufacturers actually bring their light fair booth here now. So
I've seen that, and I've seen several presidents of companies that attend. So it does appear to be very well attended and very successful.
I had one gentleman yesterday tell us that he had more conversations of depth and importance yesterday than he has in all of the shows that he's attended over the years. And he's been in the lighting industry for about 13 years now. Because there are more lighting designers in New York than there are in the rest of the world combined.
I get that. And, you know, we're not racing from booth to booth like we do at Light Fair. I've had several conversations with people, intelligent conversations, that you don't normally get at some of the bigger shows. Okay, I understand now, instead of just the Soho location, and you've moved from there, you have 2 other locations.
Correct. We have an office in New Jersey that has, I want to say, 8 people working, and an office on Long Island that has 12 people. New Jersey, it's in Woodbridge, and in Long Island, it's in Hicksville. Hicksville office is nice and convenient. It's a 2-block walk to the train station, so we can actually leave the Long Island office and come into the Manhattan office without having to get into a car.
Okay.
Woodbridge takes a little more work, but it is New Jersey.
And how many employees total now?
48. We just hired our 48th employee on November 1st.
When did ELS start?
ELS started in, I want to say May of 1993.
Just you?
Just me. 5 people.
Okay. Wow.
It was about 20 years ago that we started to blend the 2 different companies. This was myself and Mark, and we had Mike Carboneri working with us, who now runs the Long Island office for us.
When you said they're 2 different companies.
Well, I had a little company. I had 3 people, and Frank had 6 people.
And what was your company called?
Bruce Fink Sales at that time.
Okay. Okay. Excellent.
We had very, very vanilla lines, like Lamar, who we still represent 25 years later.
Right.
And Frank had high-end, beautiful specification lines. We didn't have people calling on the out-of-boroughs properly. We didn't have the ability to sell the spec products. So we actually sub-repped each other for a while.
You know, when you have 3 people as principals and partners, is there a certain way that you divide the work or the labor or certain products that you focus on or certain specifiers? How does that work?
We've been lucky enough because the relationship started so slow over so many years. It sort of just naturally fell to different places. And Frank, for many years, handled really the day-to-day and still takes a tremendous amount of time looking at the profits and the structures and the books. Mark and I were really the sales arm and looking at more of the day-to-day focus at this point. And I think it still falls along those lines. But, you know, I mean, it's much more blended now than it was. You know, we're all paying much more attention to a lot of different things. But we're very lucky that we all really, truly like one another and get along well with one another. There's a lot of laughter in the office on a regular basis. We do step on each other's toes occasionally, but it's okay.
It's one of Frank's more successful marriages.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to
It's the only one that's lasted for this many years.
No, actually, it's the ability to compromise, which really drives our success. You know, we all we make decisions together, and
That was funny.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's a great marriage.
And it's just gets better and better.
I think what really I saw happening is that I started this business as a salesperson at a distributorship. And it was when I got into the agency business, I still wanted to be a salesman, but I also realized I had to be in administration. And these two guys were great salespeople, but I also realized, I think it was one of the greatest epiphanies I had, is that even though they were great salespeople, I had to convince them to come into the office because we had to build a second strata for management. And they have been great. Great at that. We don't step on each other's toes at all. It's just seamless. I was just telling one of our clients how seamless it is. And we have a very, very happy organization because since there's no contention between us and our people understand that, they just have a very pleasant working space.
What are some of the changes that you see in the industry?
Well, I would say at the specification level, due to the fact that we have so many new technologies, like LEDs, it seems to be more spec-driven than I've ever seen in my career, because you have all these new technologies that are really just being digested by the really technical and savvy people in our industry. That's usually the architects and lighting designers.
So their value is greater.
More so than ever. Would you guys agree with that?
I would, because, everyone, even the layperson, knows what an MR16 lamp does.
Right?
They know that, if they buy this type of light bulb at Home Depot, it's going to be able to put some light on that picture. But nobody fully has comprehension of what an LED does, what a solid state fixture does, let alone how to control what kind of dimming system does it work with. So if people want to use solid state lighting, even for their homes, they're afraid to, unless they have somebody telling them how to work with it. Certainly on the commercial end, everybody understands what a 100-watt metal halide lamp does. That's not the case when you're talking about a 39-watt, an LED array, and how is that going to affect anything? And how much wattage do I need? What's the lumen output going to be? What's the color going to be? What's it going to look like? Am I going to look green? Am I going to look yellow? So I think the lighting design has become more and more important in these conditions, not less and less.
Do you see the industry as profitable today with LED as it was with the legacy products?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So at the end of the day, the specifiers are making the same amount of margin or more than they would make. The manufacturers, do you think they're making the same amount of margin?
Manufacturers, to my knowledge, have always complained about their margin, as have all the agents. So we all have the perspective that we have.
But due to the learning curve, they're absorbing some costs for sure. And so I'm sure there's jobs that aren't as profitable as some of the generic commodity jobs that they used to work on in the past. But I think that's a price everybody's willing to pay for R&D.
Wasn't that the case when they first came out with compact fluorescents and you put in a 13-watt compact fluorescent that was supposed to be equivalent to a 60-watt lamp, and then the room was cold and you got 10 watt. You couldn't see.
And it was blue.
Right, it was blue, and they had to go in and change everything. Or when they first went to electronic ballasts and troughers, and they all failed. So they were all absorbing. Whenever there's a technology shift, there's amount of money that gets spent to correct the problems. So they're dealing with the same issue now with the LEDs. And we would like to believe that they're doing this long enough, that they're smart enough to build in margins that allow them to correct these problems. If they're not, that's not my issue.
The business models have been different. I think the specifiers have become better business people. Certainly in New York, we have a very savvy group of specifiers with very well-run organizations. But we have to remember also, Randy, we've just come through the worst economic crisis any of these people have scene, and they're all still in business.
Right.
They survived. The vast majority of them survived.
And some prospered.
Right.
Some prospered.
Absolutely.
And there are many of them, in fact, most of them are hiring now. What you may not be aware of is that, with rare exception, in fact, I can't remember a time, we never have solicited a line, ever. And I think that's rare, in that all of our lines have been recommended to us by the community, whether they be distributors or specifiers. In fact, many of our lines have been referred to us by our competitors. They would say, oh no, this is not for us. You should go see Enterprise Lighting.
As we do for others.
You know, so that's a rather unique situation. We feel that we're very proud of the fact that we have the support of our community. And it's a really good feeling. I love these guys.